Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to share with you a few gift ideas as we're approaching the holiday season, and I want to specifically focus on gifts for the crafty, creative people in your life. So I know many of you are people who sew and knit, and if you're looking to gift someone else in your life who is a crafter something unique and personal this holiday season, or if you want to treat yourself to something nice over the Black Friday sales, I just thought it would be fun to put together a list of cool gift ideas for crafty people. Some of these are things that you could make if you do want to make something for a loved one for the Christmas season. And a lot of these are things that you can easily just pick up if you don't have the time. I thought it would be fun to put together a little bit of a gift guide or a list of ideas for those in your life who love to create things. If you're new here, my name's Rebecca. I talk a lot on this channel about sewing, knitting, making a handmade wardrobe. So if those are interests of yours as well, please do consider hitting the like and subscribe button below. And let's go ahead and get into the gift ideas. So first up, I think a really great gift for someone in your life who is a creative person is a little notebook or a little journal. I know personally for myself, I'm very much a pen to paper type of person, and I love having a few notebooks around. I like to have one where I write down my general thoughts and feelings and crises, but I also have one for my knitting and sewing makes, project notes. I have a little notebook where I write down video ideas. I've got a little notebook I carry in my bag when I'm going out and about so that I can always jot down lists and ideas. And I think a notebook is a great gift to give a creative person because it gives them a blank canvas to explore different ideas, different projects, observances, thoughts. My absolute favorite notebook is the Leuchtturm, I don't know. I'll put it on the screen here. I really like the A5 dotted notebook. And I like a blank page, I do. However, sometimes I want a little bit more structure for things such as lists or jotting down quick little notes. I like to have the dots to give a little bit of structure to the page, but I don't necessarily like a line because I'm a little bit particular about these things, and I often find that the lines are either too far apart or too close together to be useful to me. So yes, the 1917 A5 dotted notebook. I will link everything below and make sure to put pictures on screen as well. But that's my absolute favorite notebook, and I would happily receive this as a gift every year. So if you would like to gift someone a special notebook for all of their creative ideas, definitely check this one out. Next up, because I know a lot of you like to sew and knit and have community and friends who are also interested in handmade craft, I think a really great gift idea is a craft case. Both sewing and knitting, and honestly, drawing, all of these things require lots of little tools. So you've got your knitting needles, you've got your little snips, you've got measuring tape. There's so many little bits and bobs that it's nice to have a case to keep all of your frequently used smaller items in. So this is one that if you are someone who likes to sew and you want to make something handmade for a fellow crafter this season, I highly rate the craft case by Cool Stitches. This is a pattern that I have made for myself. It's a great scrap buster. If you have little bits of fabric lying around, you can do a fun patchwork design. It's really customizable, so you can customize the size and number of pockets and the little straps where you can slide in different tools. And I think it's a pay what you can pattern with a suggested price of €5. If you're looking to make something for yourself or a loved one who is into crafting, a craft case is a great idea. And if you're not interested in making and are more interested in purchasing, I found a couple of other really great craft cases as well. There's a lot on Etsy. I really like the ones that Thread and Maple make. They have a really cool customizable system where you can buy smaller sort of sleeve or page for needles, and then you can buy a bigger binder to put them all in. They also have smaller little cases if you don't have as many things to store. They're all leather and beautiful, and I would definitely check that out if you want to invest in something really nice and high quality. If you want to make something, try the Cool Stitches pattern, and of course, I can link a couple that I really like that I found on Etsy as well. But I think they're just so easy to personalize, and a craft case is a really thoughtful gift to someone in your life who enjoys crafting. How many times will I say craft and crafting in this video? So next up, I have a bit of a category, but one that I think is really unexpected maybe, or maybe it's something that you would initially think of as a gift for a crafty person, but one that I think is very cool and very useful, and that is a small desk or table lamp. My mom actually recently gave me one that she had purchased and it didn't really work in her space. And I was like, sure, I'll put it in my sewing area. And I really love having warm light, a nice little lamp on my sewing table. It's practical because I can better see what I'm doing when I'm working, but it's also creating a really nice environment in which to work that feels really cozy. And I found a couple of really, really nice lamps to share with you today if you're interested. Obviously, everyone's interior design taste and style are a little bit different. These are just some that I really like that I think would work really well in a creative space. So, first of all, I found this one that I really love is very expensive from Schoolhouse, but I think we can take an aesthetic idea from it, get inspiration from it, and I think you could find a lot of things on Etsy or that are vintage that have a similar vibe. But I really like that it looks a little bit more industrial. I like the variety of colors, and this is a designer brand. It is a more expensive lamp, something that maybe you're not going to invest that much in a gift for someone else. But hey, if it's for your own craft space, I really, really like this one. Also, I found on Etsy a couple of vintage lamps that are really adorable. They're so cute and small, and they look really sturdy as well. They're metal often. I really like this green one. Again, I'll link everything below. This one's only $50, so Etsy is a really great place to look for little lamps that are unique. I know you can always go on Amazon and get the same big box store product, but it's a lot more fun to have a little go through the vintage findings, the vintage offerings, and just the more unique options on Etsy. I think a lamp is a great thing to buy for someone who works with their hands, who does creative work. Really easy to customize to the individual's style preferences. So maybe consider a little lamp. It's a really fun, sweet gift. So another bit of a category, but I do have specific examples, is a craft book. So if you or the person that you are gifting is a knitter, there are a lot of really beautiful knitting books that have a variety of patterns within them. So lots of choice for the recipient. You're not just purchasing one pattern that they may not want to make, but a knitting book is a great idea because you'll get a variety of patterns to choose from. And also they're often really beautiful books to have as like a coffee table because they're nice just to flip through and read about different designers and fibers. The Knitting for Olive one looks really beautiful. I follow another YouTuber that recently came out with a book of patterns. I just think that pattern books are really thoughtful gifts because they're really beautiful objects to have, but they're also useful as they're gifting someone a handful of patterns. So a knitting book or also a sewing book. There are definitely books of sewing patterns that I think would make for great gifts. I often reference the Nanny Ero Sewing Studio book. I really like that one if you're looking for more of a Japanese aesthetic. And there's also the workbook. So Merchant and Mills have a book that I'm very interested in. I have not held it personally, but I've seen a few people talk about it on Instagram. And it's the Merchant and Mills workbook, and it has a variety of patterns to sort of create a whole wardrobe. I think that it looks really promising. Merchant and Mills patterns are typically quite expensive individually. And so in comparison to other PDF sewing patterns that you can purchase or even paper patterns, I would say that Merchant and Mills patterns are on the pricier side, so it might be a good option if you're interested in trying a few of their patterns to get a pattern book. I'll try to find some images here. The Amazon listing and even on Merchant and Mills website doesn't show you a lot of what's inside the book, but if you go to the reviews, people have photographed the different contents pages to see the patterns within the book. So I will try to put some of those images here too. But the book's only about $23 US, and often you'll spend about $20 for one of their patterns. So if you're interested in gifting a book of sewing patterns, maybe this would be one to consider, as I really like their style and their designs, and I've made, I think, 2 of their patterns, and I definitely want to try more. So check that out as well. And then, sort of following off of the pattern book idea, I think another really great gift for a creative in your life is just art books in general. It could be fashion related. There are a lot of really cool historical books about the history of fashion, or even just different fashion designers. If you know that the person you're gifting for really loves a certain designer or a certain time period, I think those can be really beautiful to look through. I also really love books that are architectural photography books. Those are really beautiful to have lying around in a creative space when you need a little bit of inspiration. Books of classic paintings. I think in general, an art book can often be found at a used bookstore or thrifted. And of course, you can always order them new as well. But these are really beautiful objects. And I find that instead of scrolling when you need to take a break from whatever creative thing that you're working on, be it sewing, knitting, painting, writing, whatever you're doing, instead of getting online, sometimes it's nice to take a little bit of a break and flip through a book of really beautiful images. Again, whether it's architecture, fashion, painting, I think that art books are lovely to have lying around in your creative space, maybe next to your little lamp. So I really like the idea of gifting art books. Again, in the description box, I'll link a few specifically that caught my eye, but just something to keep in mind, the interests of the person you're gifting for, and really great option as well. I mentioned at the beginning that those of us who love to knit and sew often have a lot of little bits lying around that make a craft case really useful. Another thing that I would note is that we have need for useful objects that are sometimes not very nice to look at. Things like pattern weights for sewing to weigh down your pattern pieces and fabric before cutting them out. I use big washers, and they are very functionally fine. They work great, but there are a lot of really cute pattern weights. And also, if you want to get crafty yourself for your gifting, you can make pattern weights for people. I'll put a couple of patterns below. There are some really cute little fabric ones that you fill, or I've seen a lot of people make them out of clay and they kind of look like little donuts. There's a lot of cool options for pattern weights that are really easy to personalize and customize, and they make the whole process of the sometimes a little bit more tedious tasks, things like tracing out pattern pieces or even cutting out fabric. I know a lot of people, that's not their favorite part of the sewing process. So if you have cute little pattern weights, I think it makes it more enjoyable, and it's a really kind and considerate gift to, again, customize someone's crafting area and show a little bit of love in that way. For knitters, I think you can do a very similar thing with stitch markers. So often we get those little metal or plastic circles that come in a bag of 100, and those are totally fine. But again, there are a lot of really cute personal ones that you can buy. Again, check out Etsy. I'll show a few here, and of course I'll link some that I like as well. But a really beautiful, personalized way. It sort of reminds me of the charm bracelets we used to have. I don't know if that's something that you did in your childhood, but collecting the little individual charms was always really fun. And you can achieve something similar with your stitch markers. It just makes the knitting process a little bit more enjoyable. There are actually some that are really practical. Maybe you're gifting to someone who is a beginner and they have little notes on them, knit two together or increase one to the left, like make one to the left, make one to the right. And if you put those stitch markers where you're going to be doing that action, it could actually be very functionally helpful as well as cute. So if you're looking for little stocking stuffer sort of ideas, pattern weights and stitch markers are a really fun idea. Sort of in the same vein as a craft case, I think it's a really good idea to think about storage for a little bit larger items. So a project bag. This can apply to sewing or knitting. I know a lot of us don't do a project start to finish in one sitting, and so we often have either a large amount of cut out pieces of fabric or skeins of yarn alongside our little craft case. It's nice to have a bigger bag to keep our actual project in during the times that we're not working on it in order to protect it from kids, pets, just losing things. So it's nice to keep things in project bags. And again, this is a gift idea where if you want to, it's very achievable to sew a project bag for a knitter or fellow sewist. And there are a couple of patterns that I really like if you decide to make your own. One of them was what is that? Grain Line Studio has a project bag called the Field Bag, and it looks like a really generous bucket bag sort of shape, again with customizable interior pockets. So if you are making something like this for someone who knits, you could make little knitting needle slots, spots for little scissors and things like that. So if you want to make a project bag, this one looks really great. If you're more interested in purchasing one for someone else or yourself, I really like the Wool and Company project bags. They're a little bit more expensive, but they look to be made with high quality leather and canvas materials. So if you want to gift someone a nice project bag, maybe check out Wool and Company. Of course, there's always Etsy, and a lot of individuals sell project bags that they have handmade themselves. So I think a project bag is a really great idea for a gift. And if you wanted to be extra generous, maybe you could fill it up with yarn or fabric or something. That might be fun too. Another idea that I had for, let's say you're someone who enjoys sewing and you're thinking of what could I make for a Christmas gift for someone? I think a really good idea that is unisex and pretty easy as far as sizing goes to get right is to make a robe. And I recently made a robe for myself using a free pattern. It's the Fleur, Fleur robe from Mood. They have a variety of free patterns on their website. They're primarily a fabric store, but I made this pattern and really, really like it. I actually made it out of an old cotton curtain just to test it out, and I'm really pleased with the fit and the way it was constructed. It was really easy and kind of a quick project to make. So I'd love to make another one, both for myself and for others as gifts. I think this would be great in one of those squishy waffle knits or even just a linen. Depending on where you are, you might need a really heavy fleece robe for around the house while you're crafting. And again, if you don't want to make one, you can definitely buy one. But I think we're often crafting at home in the evenings, we're trying to relax, and I think a robe is a really great gift idea. Last up, I think alongside the robe and the nice little lamp and the cute accessories, I think another gift idea that is really great for creative people, whether they're sewing or knitting or painting or whatever project they're working on. I know myself and lots of others like to listen to something while they're working, whether that be listening to music or a podcast or even watching YouTube videos. I typically have my headphones on when I'm sewing and knitting and painting. And so I think a really great gift for someone who you know spends a lot of hours creating is a really good pair of headphones. You can go anywhere on the price range from the $30 earbuds up to you can spend a couple $100s on a really nice pair of over-the-ear noise-canceling headphones. Whatever your budget may be and however much you want to invest in something like that, I think that headphones are a really great gift idea for someone who spends a lot of time alone creating, getting in the zone, listening to the music or the audiobook. So maybe consider a new pair of headphones as a gift as well. So those are a few gift ideas for the creatives in your life or for yourself this holiday season. Hopefully this was fun to watch and spark some ideas for what you might like to give as gifts this coming season. I hope you're all doing really well. I hope everyone's healthy and you're all looking forward to time with loved ones very soon over the holidays. And happy sewing and knitting. Enjoy your quiet time, your creative time, and I look forward to seeing you in another one very, very soon. Again, if you enjoyed this video and want to watch some more, go ahead and click that subscribe button below. And I think that's it. I'll see you in the next one.